You slow down on the bike next round. It's fucking hard, man. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm joined by my long-term friend and now client, Mr. Connor Crompton. Today we're going to be taking me through what sounds like absolute hell. I don't actually know what we're doing yet, but it's certainly not within my comfort zone. So bro, what the fuck are we doing today? Yeah, so I know George comes from a little bit more of a bodybuilding background, so today's going to be quite fun to, I guess, introduce him to the kind of the world of, I'm not going to necessarily say Hyrox or CrossFit, it's probably somewhere in the middle, a little bit more functional based. We're on a rooftop gym, the sun's out, so it seems a shame not to make the most of this equipment. So this is ours for today, this assault bike.
I've actually never used one of them, genuinely. I sound like such a bro saying that, don't I?
I'm not 100% sure on how we're going to do it, but essentially we're going to have somewhere between 300 to 500 calories to burn on here, okay?
Okay.
But we're going to split that between us.
Okay.
So it's going to be, let's start off with 300 calories, whilst one person is basically doing the below exercises that will go through, you'll essentially be sat on here accumulating calories.
Okay.
And then what I'll be doing, for example, whilst you're on here, we've got a sled push, so we're going to be pushing that sled all the way from there down to the end over there, and then you're going to pull it back.
Okay.
So push it down, pull it back. We've then got 20 kettlebell swings. We can demo all the exercises in a second.
Okay.
And then we've just got 20 hand release push-ups just to take that kind of momentum out of it.
Okay.
So those are just four simple, very simple exercises that we're going to be doing. And essentially, whilst I'm doing them, you'll be on there accumulating calories and vice versa. If we get to like 200 calories or 150 and we're really bored of the exercises, we can just pick 4 other exercises and mix it up that way.
Okay, sick. So one person's on this accumulating calories whilst the other is doing the pushes, the pulls, the swings and the press ups.
Correct. And once you've done one round of that, we then swap.
Right.
And jump back
without
on.
any rest, straight in.
No rest, yeah. But we'll just take, it will be
nervous.
relatively like sensible in terms of pace.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to send it on here. We'll just use this as basically active recovery, so to speak, and then that is more the work that we'll be doing. But a good form, we don't want to be rushing anything and just take it nice and easy. I have no idea how long this is going to take. It could be half an hour,
We'll be
40
here for
minutes.
3 hours, guys.
It depends how many calories we want to burn, but somewhere within the region of 300 to 500, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's do it, man.
Cool.
Who's going to start on this then?
Well, what we should do, we'll grab another one. So we can warm up. We can warm up together.
Yeah. That's the thing with me, guys, is where I've got like arthritis, I'm a crippled old man, so I need to do mobility AF. In fairness, like people have debates all the time about like whether you should or shouldn't do mobility. For me, I think you should, bro. Like most of us, especially like online coaches, you're just sat at a desk all day. You're kind of sat like this all the time, so just fucking opening everything up. But yeah, it's a beautiful gym we're at. Oh, there we go. Beautiful gym we're at this morning. TK and Fit, isn't it? TK and Fit.
TK, I think it's TK MMA.
TK MMA Fit. Like rooftop vibes in the middle of the marina near enough. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, and I've only just seen this, but you can see the birds from here in downtown. Quite a long way away that, but I didn't even notice that before. That's pretty much where me and Connor are currently staying. So for those of you who have watched my previous YouTubes, since I started doing these, we've been staying in the marina. We went staying in Damak 2, which is about 45-minute drive directly into the desert from here. You genuinely drive past camels, bro, just to get there. And then we're currently staying pretty much downtown, like Business Bay kind of area, which is a beautiful area. But yeah, started today.
So yeah, full transparency. I don't know how many calories we should go for. It depends. Like so many assault bikes are very different in terms of calories.
Yeah.
So I've just burned 2 calories.
So when you program this right, because I mean, like, would you say this is like a functional session? That's what you classify it as?
I'd say it's functional. You're essentially combining cardio work on a machine, for example, or a run with weight training. So I mean, it's whether you classify a sled pull and a sled push as a form of weight training. I probably would. But yeah, you're essentially getting used to
going from resistance exercises and weight training to going straight into something cardio based.
Yeah.
Which I don't think many people practice enough. I think a lot of people are either very strong, they look amazing, or they have a lot of endurance. And that's why I like the kind of hybrid space, because it allows you to mix all of it.
It's essentially turning you into an athlete, isn't it? Because, like, in fairness, I was saying this to you earlier, right? Back in the day when I used to play golf, like, the Surrey squad would make you do this kind of stuff. And this is what I was doing when I was like 16, 17, 18, 19. And I'll be honest, I think because I didn't have a base, at like 20 years old, I'd say I was like under-muscled, but I was fit.
Yeah.
I could run a long fucking way.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like have many injuries. And then, like you say, I then went like out and out bodybuilding. Everything was either this way or this way.
Yeah.
Nothing was rotating, nothing was like, cardio was in the bin. I was one of those bros who was like, oh, if I do cardio, I'm gonna lose all my muscle.
Yeah.
So I basically just sacked it off for like fucking 4 years. I used to think cardio was like, oh, cardio is fat loss.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, mate, cardio is like your heart health.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally like your whole engine, but everything.
Yeah.
So right now I'm like 180 something pounds. The heaviest I've ever been was like 213.
Yeah.
And whenever I go over 200, I'm like walking up the stairs out of breath. And I'm like, this block of training or this block of progress that I'm pushing into now, like I really don't want to get back to that.
Yeah.
It sucks. Like playing golf out of breath. I can say
going up the stairs.
Going up the stairs out of breath. Mate, fucking having sex out of breath.
Yeah.
Like it's not looking good, breath.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be having to like wipe your head like every 2 minutes.
I think the idea of, you know, looking at someone and they're in just the sickest shape, but they can also just run for ages, and
Yeah.
they're healthy, they're functional. Yeah, it's a really, really cool prospect. That warm up done.
Since my photo shoot to now, I mean, I weighed myself at Archie's like 5-6 days ago.
Yeah.
And in realistically, after I do a photo shoot, both for myself and the clients, week number 1, I genuinely expect 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Because 2-3 of that is literally fucking carbs, intracellularly, can't even say the word. And then, you know, you're gonna gain weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like 10 pounds up in like 3 and a bit weeks, which is like, yeah, that's quite a lot. So I was like, right, let's hold things down. And I'm doing that and I'm like, mate, I knew I was moving better a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, motherfucker, I need to hold this down.
Yeah.
Oh shit. I'm surprised how much activation you get in your legs from sleds.
Mate, that sled pull on the way back, that's like muscle recruitment you can't even get on like the deepest set of leg press.
Yeah, man. Like, I remember I said this to you before, right? So back in the day, I used to coach some rugby players. So I coached John Fisher, used to play for London Irish, and then Alex Corbizero used to play for Wales. And back in my golfing days, we would constantly do sled pushes and pulls. This was a long, long time ago. And I vaguely remember the recruitment, but equally, I remember when I was programming them, they both specifically said, can we have a sled in there?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, yeah, let's put it at the end of the session. And it cursed me like, no, tomorrow. And I knew it was horrible, but
Yeah.
you do it there and you're like, fuck. You know, when you're moving serious poundage on that, rips into your quads and hammies. Like when I was on that bike
does.
then, all I could feel was like top of the quad.
Yeah, well, the reason like everything was programmed like that, like bike, it's gonna hit your legs. Sled pull hits your legs.
Yeah.
Sled push hits your legs. You know, even if we threw a farmer's carry in there or something like that.
I love farmers. I love farmers, man. I was saying this on the YouTube with Tommy. He was asking you about like straps. And this is such a bro response to straps, but I don't use them. I seriously don't use them. And I've personally found, right, so I know this is like more bodybuilding, but I got tendonitis in both my elbows, right? This was about 3-4 years ago. And Aaron said, right, we're gonna remove straps for a bit. We need to do some like, so what you had me do is when people train their forearms, it's like grip, but no one really does like curls or whatever.
Yeah.
But he said something a lot of people don't do, is train their bicep through like rotation, unless obviously you're doing this, but it's only so much. So you'd have a hammer in your hand, or like have a hammer in your hand, obviously the weight's out to the side, and you simply put it on like this.
Yeah.
And you're just like rotating the hammer like this. So you started getting me to do that, and the pump you get is like retarded.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he was like, when you return to your training,
he wanted to use these like little, they're almost like an orange handle, and you can put them in between your fingers.
Yeah.
And you'd be doing
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a run.
yeah.
Yeah. So you had me doing those. Then he said, as you progress back, don't use wrist straps because I want you to use your forearms.
Yeah.
And that was 2019, 2020. And ever since, I'd say I probably use straps maybe once a month if you're lucky, and never use them.
Yeah, yeah.
And since, touch wood, whatever wood is, I've never had tendonitis since. Yeah. And I feel like my forearms are better for it.
Yeah, yeah.
But, I mean, yes, I get less back recruitment, but I want strong forearms.
Good point. Very good point.
So what advice would you give someone then? If someone was like, they've been doing the typical kind of like bodybuilding bro split, hybrid training, functional training is becoming extremely more popular nowadays, and you know, Hyrox events and stuff. And I'll be real, people, it doesn't take a genius to see this. Over the last 2-3 years, I've been like, oh, Hyrox is shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you do it, and it's like the only reason people say it's shit is because they're not really good at it.
Yeah.
And that was what I used to say.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
for someone who's looking to get into it, like, how would you start?
I think firstly you've got to, if you're going to do it, make sure you do it because you actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
It obviously is quite a fashionable thing at the moment, and it's difficult, as you found out today. And if you don't really enjoy it and you don't really have fun in those sessions, I don't think, you know, you're just not going to stick around for long doing it.
Yeah.
But I can think of a lot of people that do or have attempted to do hybrid training and they just fall off because it seems like this cool, fashionable, new, sexy thing. But if you don't really deep down enjoy it, it's hard graft. So you've got to make sure you enjoy it. I think getting into some sort of group-based style of training, like there's a lot of functional gyms out there that offer, you know, classes and you know, not necessarily like group PT, but kind of group functional classes. It's very difficult to do a session like that on your own.
Yeah.
Like, I'd say I'm quite disciplined in terms of training, but I'll get halfway through like an hour session and I'll start, you know, calling it a day because it's very difficult to keep yourself motivated. So I think having either a training partner or doing some sort of group PT or kind of group functional class is the way forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are probably the two biggest things.
That's fair. And then, like, in terms of kind of, let's say someone wanted to do like their first Hyrox event, you'd advise they go in like a partnership then?
Yeah, I think probably a pairs. I mean, I've done pairs Hyrox and I've also done solos. I did solos in London and then did pro men's double in Germany. To be honest, I actually think the pairs was more difficult because you're actually moving at a faster pace. Therefore, it's actually a little bit more intense. It's not like you're just completely halving the workload, you still have to run the same amount of distance. So yeah, potentially doing it in pairs or yeah, sharing that workload because it's more fun. It's just a little bit more of an entry level way to get into it. Whereas if you're going in there solo, obviously it's probably a little bit nerve-wracking for people.
Yeah, that's fair, man. And then what pushed you from, because obviously where you got the background in bodybuilding and whatnot, what pushed you to go from that style to this style?
To be honest, I got bored of just constantly bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I came from, like, in school I was always pretty quick and athletic, and when I just became obsessed with bodybuilding, you know, all the kind of gaining phases and cutting and bulking, I'd fluctuate so much in weight I couldn't do anything, you know, kind of athletic. You know, I'd be like 70 kilos on stage but 105 kilos in a gaining phase.
Yeah.
And you just can't do anything athletic when you're constantly going up and down like that with body weight. I had a bulged disc in my lower back, and I did that from deadlifting. That was just before COVID, and all of that kicked off, and I had a bulged disc when trying to train at home, you know, doing like home workouts and stuff, and I just completely fell out of love with kind of typical bodybuilding training. So I kind of had to adapt.
You know, so I don't know if you remember this, but when we were being coached by AJ, we went through the exact same thing at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Me, you, and Ben Prentice went through the exact same thing at the exact same time.
Yeah.
I think it was from Ali Yellen.
Yeah.
It was like left side, bulged my disc, fell into a bit of, well, I was never diagnosed, but it felt like depressive symptoms. I'd lost my identity.
Yeah.
And I remember like doing fucking home workouts, and I'd probably, the heaviest weights I probably had were like these, maybe like 10s or something. I had like a shitty little bar. I was doing like, I'd gone from Ali Yellen like 140 for reps to Ali Yellen 40 for like a few reps, and there being some pain there. And back in the day, so I was on the Train by JP site. I used to watch like every bodybuilder you can imagine, like Jay Cutler, Kai Green, Kevin Avroni, like all of the big guys on YouTube. And then when I had that really bad injury, and then I went, oh well, I can't train back, so let me train like more chest and shoulders. And like a fucking idiot, because I thought, oh, I'll get away with it, I tried training like push like 3 days a week, and that's where I tore my pec insertion. Then I got tendonitis. Then my arthritis started kicking off, and I was just an absolute fucking mess. And mate, I was very similar to yourself in the sense of, I remember there was a point where, from lockdown of 2020, so I think that was what, March?
Yeah, about that.
There was one, because obviously there was a few lockdowns, weren't there? There was one point where for 6 months I didn't weight train, like at all. And I lost so much fucking muscle. And I remember coming back in a Pure Gym, and I felt really embarrassed to be in Pure Gym because I'd built up my identity, I built up my brand, I built up my message and stuff like that. And like, I specifically remember the one thing I did do, which I'm proud that I did, is although I'd say the first like few weeks of lockdown, I was just like getting in my own head and beating myself up. I thought, right, this is an opportunity to grow my online business. Yeah. And that's where I pivoted from being all in on bodybuilding to being all in on business. And I think that's, and I look back at that and I think, although it fucking sucked for my physique development, and I genuinely think it probably put my physique development back like a year, what I did to my business was absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I think, like we were talking about earlier with the Black Friday stuff that you've been doing, the Black Friday stuff that a lot of our clients have been doing, a lot of people get to like November, December and go, oh, well, it's quiet this time of year, let me just sit back. Yeah. Whereas when you're doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing and like seeing an opportunity, that like growth comes from those kind of small opportunities where other people are kind of not doing much, I guess.
Yeah. I agree.
But
yeah, the whole identity things really was difficult. Like lockdown, like I viewed myself as Connor with the fitness Instagram page. Everyone knows me for fitness, and I just completely fell out of love with training. Yeah, it was quite scary, and it was because of an injury, but also obviously everything the world was going through at the time. Obviously, there's much bigger things to be worrying about than that. But yeah, it was kind of a weird like identity change and loss almost, going from like this whole bodybuilding fitness thing that was very niche to slowly, probably over like 2 years, finding my love for a bit more of a balanced lifestyle. And I think I'd do it all over again because I built my business in that time. I learned balance, like my work-life balance is incredible. My social life is great now. I was previously one of those people that would just diet and constantly work. And I thought I needed to do that, and I did do that, and I'm glad I did it. But you know, I kind of fell into that constant let's just work trap. And you know, it looks cool and stuff like that, grafting 24/7, but you know, you got to have fun along the way.
Oh mate, 100%. And you know what I would say, right, is like, out of everyone that I kind of coach or like mentor, I'd say you probably have like one of the best work-life balances, and it's really, really good to see that. I think it's so fucking important. I think that a lot of people see the intensity of work that like someone like yourself will put in and think that your whole life is just spent on a laptop, but it really isn't. You know, when you work, you're fucking on it, and when you're not, you're completely off. You know, you can go have a beer, you can go to the beach, you can go and chill, and it's really cool to see, man.
Big story. Superman, about, God, how many years ago was this? 40 years ago? He broke his neck jumping into a swimming pool. So, safety first, always check the depth before you dive in the pool. I could be funny, sexy, and can't do that, but... Right, 1.3, so that's about 1.4. Okay, I think I'll be alright. If anyone wants to know how tall I am, I'm 6'5". Definitely. Oh shit. Right, we're going to do some content AF. You get in the pool? You can't hear me. So guys, that is, I don't know if we'll wrap the vlog up here. We might do, we might not. But a little hybrid session with my client Connor. I won't share his numbers on this video because you guys all know that I do mentoring, that I do business coaching. If I did, I think you'd be very surprised. Let's put it this way. Connor has grown his business 70% in 2 weeks. 70. The reason he's been able to do that is because I taught him how to sell upfront packages for a year. And it's a skill that a lot of people are nervous to do because realistically, who thinks that they can close something for someone for a year, but he can because he now knows how to do that, and that's why he's grown by 70%. He's fucking crushed me. So he's done year payments, he's done 6 month payments. The important thing to note with that one, guys, is you don't always have to do upfront payments for your business. I personally believe it depends on the person's business model. When Connor came to me, he's a very smart lad. He's got a brilliant program. There's very clear phases in the program. If someone wasn't a great coach and didn't have very clear kind of processes in their program, I probably wouldn't advise up front because they don't know what the fuck they're going to be doing with that client. Whereas Connor, he can very clearly articulate exactly what that is within Endorphin Academy. That's the name of this brand. But anyway, that gave him the resources and the finances to, within 7 days of working together, he had the money to book a week in Dubai, a flight to Dubai, meals out every evening, get a load of content recorded, which is fucking mental. And I know this sounds like a little bit of a pipe dream, but realistically, like, he was already running a business that was close to 6 figures. I'm saying this now on camera, and anyone who knows Connor, this might be like, he's 25 years old. I can honestly say by the time he turns 30, his business will be doing $500,000 a year, easy. He's very smart, he's very switched on, and he just follows the plan. And this is a lesson to any of my clients who are watching this. If you want to grow your business without sounding like a dick, just follow the plan because it fucking works, and he's testament to that. So yeah, it's been an unbelievable day. We're now going to record some short form content in here because why the fuck not? For those of you that have been kind of watching our content and enjoying it, please again, let us know what you want to see more of. Do you want to see more training content? Do you want to see more business content? We're more than happy to literally go through our clients' businesses and break down how they've built them. Because realistically for Connor, the reason I love working with him, he's built his business out of service delivery and service delivery alone. Yes, he's got great business acumen. Yes, he's got great social media presence. Yes, he's got great authority online, but he's built his business because he's genuinely amazing at what he does. All that he needed was offer repositioning, learning how to market, and learning how to sell. And because me and Connor are mad similar, he basically worked 12-hour days for 7 days straight, which I didn't ask him to do, but he did it. And because he worked 12-hour days for 7 hours straight on that, he learned the skills very, very quickly, applied them very, very quickly, and earned a lot of money very, very quickly, to put it bluntly. He's coming over now. Connor, come here, mate. What piece of advice would you give to a new online coach who's up and coming? You know, they've maybe been doing this for a few years and they want to go from a good business to a great business, because I feel like you're running a fucking awesome business, man.
I'd say so many people just overcomplicate everything. I think people are searching for secrets, and they look at coaches that are doing really, really well, and they presume there's something quite secretive going on. There really isn't. It's just, you know, the daily non-negotiables, the daily basics, but you need to know what those daily basics, you need to know what those daily non-negotiables are. I think they probably don't have enough transformations and things like that. You know, people are trying to sell too aggressively and push their coaching forward.
I'm glad you said that, so I literally just said the exact same thing. Your service is just really fucking good.
Yeah.
And that sells itself, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the foundation, and then all the kind of sexy secret stuff can be based on that. Accountability is something massively undervalued. So, you know, it could be one of your best mates that's also a coach, meeting up with them on a weekly basis just to have, you know, a chat and keep each other accountable. It could be having a mentor, but yeah, accountability is one of them. People overcomplicate it as well, you know, and results, get results.
100%, man. That's one thing that's been really cool. Let me sit up here. That's one thing that's been really cool so far. Again, it's so early days, so but the fact that obviously I gave you a little bit of advice and you literally just did it there and then. There was no like, oh, I'll wait a bit, or I'll wait until next week or next month or whatever. You just did it straight away, and that's why it worked. Like one of my sayings has just become like success loves speed, and because you did it fast, it just worked. Another thing I noticed as well, actually, have you ever read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People? You haven't? Okay. Your English, your spoken language, and your communication skills are fucking phenomenal. Like, you know that message that you sent yesterday to your client to like give him that nudge that he needed? Not many people would do that, but the fact that you're able to hold space for that client and give him what he needed at that given point, you fired him back up to do what he needed to do. And I think that you probably don't even realise that you did that, but not many coaches do that. You know, if someone's struggling, they're like, oh, thinking of quitting, they'd be like, oh, you know, that's a shame, oh, maybe we'll jump on a call.
and then it's like another 4 days, and then that like, imagine you're struggling and you've got to wait 4 days to talk to someone. Like you nipped it in the bud straight away and you gave the client exactly what they needed, and that's why things are where they are, because you're very good at like actually talking to people, and I think it's a very overlooked skill.
I think also on the speed of implementation thing, like perfectionism used to creep in for me massively, and I'd try and like just absolutely nail this perfect post or this perfect sequence or this perfect, kind of formula. It's just throw it out there, obviously put your own spin on it, but just get it out there quick and then you can adjust from there. And just perfectionism is just like a fancy excuse for procrastination, so yeah, get rid of that and then just throw it out.
So true. We were talking about that. I think we were like doing some content the other day about like the whole perfectionism thing, and I feel like a lot of very successful entrepreneurs start off as perfectionists, and then they realise that actually what you need to do is like beta test things. So like a great example of that, right, is before I became a PT, I studied for 2 years, and then I started, and I was like, what the fuck? How does no one know this stuff? I thought that this was the basics, and then I got into business coaching, and then the first where are we now? We're like 2 years deep. First year had like massive imposter syndrome, and I was like, you know what? Let me like actually talk to other mentors and connect with them. And I sit and have lunch with them, and I'm like, shit, all this stuff you didn't know this, you didn't know that, and then there's stuff that they're telling me, and I'm like, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. It's the same with everything. Like we've all got gaps in our knowledge, but there's a film, I think it's called Catch Me if You Can, where all he's doing is he's like one step ahead of the next person. That's realistically, that's all you need to provide a great service. And it's ironic because there are a lot of coaches that are running huge businesses that aren't actually that good. They're just better than their clients, and they're given. This isn't me saying be a shit coach, by the way, at all. I'm so against that. But what I am also more so against is like waiting for like the perfect month, or the perfect year, or the perfect point. I said this to someone last week on a call, and I could tell it like got to them, and then they joined and they had some quick wins. I won't name his name, but he's been with us for about 6 weeks now. And he'd inquired a year earlier, then 6 months later we had a chat and he held it off again, and he got to a year, and we're on the call, bearing in mind the call was like early November, when I might wait till like January, February time. And I said to him, I was like, right mate, do I have permission to say something potentially quite upsetting? He was like, yeah, sure. I was like, why are you wishing your life away? And I just sat there and he was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you said it in 6 months, then you said it in 6 months, now you're saying it in 4 months. Like, before we know it, you're going to be 40 years old saying, in a few more weeks. I was like, you're not going to fucking know unless you jump into it. I can guarantee you he'll be in CEO in a few weeks. I won't say his name on camera, but I'll tell you off camera, he'll be in CEO in a few, 100%. Because he's so smart, he just has no confidence. But, yeah. Right, we're now going to play a game of chicken. Right, so I dare you to... Actually, how high? You know what? If you were training at this gym every single day, imagine what your fucking life would feel like. Just jumping in there, jumping the pool afterwards, it's wild. Is it cold? It's chilly, but it's nice for the sun. But yeah. Now I'll let you crack more content. I'll just chat shit to camera. Right, I'll just do what I'm best at, just chat shit. Nice one. I can't lie, I'm having a little bit of a reflective moment now. This literally just kicked in from looking over here and seeing the sun and shit. I remember about, what year are we in now? So 2024 right now, we're coming into 2025. If I remember back to 2020, which me and Connor were talking about earlier, me and him had a bulge disc at the same time. Then COVID hit and everything came crashing down. And in 2020, bearing in mind before this, I had a very successful business. Because of the way that things went, I think I went from something like 35 clients, online and face-to-face, and I think I went down to 7. And I was shitting it, man. I didn't have any furlough, I didn't have any additional support. I had 7 clients for months and months and months. And this was only 4 years ago. Prior to that, I had this great big business and it just went. And I remember just thinking to myself, right, I have to make this happen. I have to burn the boats. And a lot of people talk to me about, waiting for the right time to build an online business or waiting for the right time to convert online and stuff like that. And I really, really, really think there's a lot of power for me personally in backing yourself into a corner and making it happen. Now, what I would say with that, if you're naturally quite a nervous, anxious, unconfident person, don't do that, because that's going to be insanely triggering for you. Because you're going to be someone who kind of craves having a level of security, which I get. If, however, you're someone who's less risk averse, you're willing to just like jump into things and give it a shot, I think if you have like a system and a structure, don't get me wrong, I would have many sleepless nights doing this, but I remember saying to myself, I was like, right, and How to Win Friends and Influence People taught me this, by the way, so if you've not read that book, go read that book. But I would sit on Instagram every day in lockdown for about 4 hours, and in those 4 hours, I'd probably message or interact with between 80 to 100 people. Now, people think I'm mental saying that, and then they say you're mental doing that thing, and then you fast forward to 2024, and you see us running a multiple six-figure business, you're like, maybe there's something there. Anyway, my point is, I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this because this is literally what I did. So it was 4 hours a day, every single day, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. And I'll tell you what I didn't do, because this is probably what you guys are expecting. What I didn't do was, I didn't use any lead magnets, I didn't use any sales tactics, I didn't use any scripts, I didn't use any messaging flow works, which ironically we now have in our back pocket if we need them. What I did was, I voice noted people. People don't voice note other people that are strangers. So literally, I'd be like walking down the street, like during COVID, there's no one fucking out. And if someone watched my story or liked my post or interacted with something or followed them, I'd just voice note them and be like, hey Cindy, I don't know. Be like, hey Cindy, really appreciate the follow, mate. I'm loving your page, looks fucking incredible. I see you at Bali last year, I absolutely love that. Maybe when I'm out of lockdown one day I'll go there. But I just wanted to send you a voice note and say hello, ask how you are, and I hope that you're well. And I did that all day, every day, 80 to 100 times a day for 6 months. And when we got out of lockdown, I went from 7 clients to 30 clients within the space of like 2 weeks. And people sit there, scratch their heads and be like, how did you do that? And it's like, it was months and months and months and months and months of building relationships with people. And like even now, when we're in the gyms and stuff, if I see someone that I recognize, I'll just go and say hello. And I know that sounds like such a basic thing, but we had a staff meeting the other day, and within my staff behind the scenes, we've got like CSMs, PAs, EAs, setters, all this kind of stuff, right? And like performance coaches and things. And I sat there and I was like, I know that you guys all have a superpower, and I think I know what it is, but I want to hear it directly from you. What do you think your superpower is? And then I was asked the reverse. I'm like, what's your superpower? My superpower personally has always been other human beings, and like speaking. I love talking to camera, I love creating content, I love interacting with people. And if you're like me and you're slightly more on the extroverted side and you're slightly more on the chatty side and you want to connect with people, the best thing you can ever do, even if you're introverted, the best thing you can ever do is like learn how to just not be afraid to get rejected, not be afraid to talk to people, and not be afraid to put yourself out there. Because I can honestly hand on heart say, I'm not that intelligent. Like, don't get me wrong, I've got skills, I'm not that intelligent. I just go fuck it and I just talk to people. And like nowadays, because people know I'm a business coach and because people go, oh, you're trying to sell me something, I'll get a lot less responses. Like, if I was to voice note 100 people, I'd maybe have 20 people respond to that voice note. But mate, even now, I can guarantee if a mentor hears this, they'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that. If a mentor heard this now, they'd tell you that this is a terrible tactic. But when we have a client on a call, our close rate is ridiculous because I've built a relationship with every single person. And the lesson I want you guys to take from this is, you should be spending less of your time thinking about selling people, less of your time thinking about making money, and more of your time thinking, can I help this person? Do I like this person? And let's build some relationship and rapport. And that's why now, if I walk into gyms in Dubai, I tend to recognize a lot of people because my whole strategy was I want to be everywhere. I want to be everywhere. And in my opinion, anyone can do that. You don't need to know about technology. You don't need to know about paid ads. You don't need to know about email marketing. You don't need to know about sales. You don't need to know about any of those things. Anyone and everyone, anyone at all can do that. It's just start a conversation with someone, talk to someone, help someone, reach out to someone. It's fucking easy, okay? It's so easy. I'm not saying it's gonna be something that's done overnight or in a week or in a month, but talking to other people, you're gonna learn the art and learn the skill of doing that a little bit more. And if you're not very good at talking to people, read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. And secondly, every single time you go to the supermarket, if you get in your head and you doubt approaching someone, just approach them. I don't know if you saw on camera, but there was someone who I recognised from like a previous mentorship. I've not spoken to her for 5 years. We don't follow each other, but I saw her face and I recognised her. So I just want to chat to her. I'm not trying to get anything out from her. I just want to talk to her. And after I've spoken to her, I'll follow her on Instagram. I'll message her later and say, oh, it's great to see you earlier. I hope you're well. And then we'll start a conversation from there. And I know that sounds really basic, but it really is that basic. It's not that complicated. So yeah, guys, bit of a ramble that one, but for the personal trainers and online coaches out there, or in fact anyone who's got an online business, like, you absolutely must, please write this down and do it. Talk to as many people as you can. Not sell as many people as you can, talk to as many people as you can. Because you do that and you build an incredible network, you're never going to be struggling for business. Geezers and lemon squeezers. So that is us done with our hybrid session with Mr. Connor. Mate, really appreciate it today. Thank you. It was good to do that. Honestly, I can't lie. I felt like I was going to die multiple times, but it was good fun. So for the guys and girls that don't know you, they want to follow you, they want to see your stuff, where can people find you?
So all platforms, it's CWC_fitness. But yeah, mate, thanks for having me today for this session. It was difficult. I think we did overshoot the programming a little bit. We changed it from 500 calories on the bike to 300. I think that worked a little bit better. So yeah, it was a good session, mate. It was nice to take you through something a little bit different.
Yeah, love it. You know what? I've never done this at the end of a YouTube, but we're going to wrap up with a deep question. What advice would you give to a 12-year-old you right now? Say directly to the camera and be like, right, you're back at 12, you're picking your nose, you're in year 6, and you're like, right, this is what I need to be doing in my life.
Okay.
I mean, how many years ago was that? Like 5, 6?
Can't do the maths on that. Okay, what I would say is, I think I used to kind of worry quite a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can worry so much that something's not going to work out, or just overthinking about the future. You forget to enjoy that journey. And whenever I have worried about something, it's usually worked out. So just don't worry as much. In line with that as well, at secondary school when I was like 13, 14, 15, I prioritised the gym massively. And a lot of my teachers were like, stop going to the gym, stop going to the gym. You need to take kind of like life and education seriously, which I agree with to some aspect, but I think it would have been very easy to just not, to actually listen to that and give up on my passion. And I wouldn't be like here right now if I would listen to that. So yeah, sometimes not listening to advice like that can be quite beneficial.
That's powerful, man. I love that. Well, it's clearly fucking worked out very well for you, eh?
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, man. Well, mate, great session, bro.